Are you a businesswoman who is finding it challenging to get your ideas across and make a point? Welcome to Speakers Who Get Results with Elizabeth Bachman, a podcast dedicated to helping women get the visibility they want, whether making a speech or talking in a meeting. Every week, get valuable lessons from Elizabeth or learn from her roundtable conversations with experts and speakers on how to make a difference, not just a point. On to the show with your host, Elizabeth Bachman.
Hello and welcome to Speakers Who Get Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host, and this is the podcast where we interview experts from around the world on topics such as leadership, visibility, presentation skills, international communication, and how to have a sweet life, la Dolce Vita, which is what I'm talking to my current guest for. Angela Santi is a leadership coach based in Bologna, and she is actually have tried 4 times to do this interview. This is really the best of them, so I'm very glad this is the one that we're going to publish. She speaks about how you can be a leader and still have a sweet life, la Dolce Vita. Her official bio is that she is Italian by birth and cosmopolitan by vocation. Angela is the one-of-a-kind Dolce Vita lifestyle designer for elite entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. She's fiercely protective of her craft, which is the art that is the science behind the good life. As such, she has pioneered the 4 pillars of the Dolce Vita life mastery model. As Angela is known as a disciplined rebel, and she works privately with a select group of ultra-high performers and global leaders. Her Mediterranean-infused methodology will help today's high flyers rise to unprecedented levels of success while living la Dolce Vita, which is the signature Italian lifestyle. Through her signature system, the Best Life Blueprint, she offers a transformational implementation of daily business and personal routines so that you can effortlessly live your best life, your Dolce Vita. I think you will enjoy this conversation. I know you'll enjoy this conversation with the wonderful Italian Angela Santi. Angela Santi, thank you so much for being really patient and coming back to Speakers Who Get Results. This is our 4th time making sure we're going to make this work. So welcome back.
Hi, Elizabeth. I am always so happy that having a 4th interview with you is a treat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's certainly over the course of the several years that we've known each other, it's been really fun to know you and to see you in Bologna twice. We tried to do this in Bologna, and that was the 3rd try, and that was the one that I made the mistake with. So I'm going to ask you about mistakes later. But first, let me ask you about who your dream interview would be. If you could interview someone who's no longer with us, who would it be? What would you ask them? And who should be listening?
So I would really, really, really love to interview Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, because she was, in a way, she was a pioneer. She was a disciplined rebel. She was a woman who knew how to behave perfectly in her role, but also at that time, she was doing things that were not common for a woman, especially for a woman in her role. She not only was a fantastic Charleston dancer.
Charleston, yes, okay.
Yeah, she used to go to Africa doing
hunting.
Yes.
On
safaris and all sorts of adventurous things. And when she became the widow of the king, she didn't want to give up her institutional roles. So she asked her daughter to create a role specifically for her so that she could have like this public role anyways.
And she was beloved for it. Yes, absolutely. And, that seems to me that's also teamwork, leadership and teamwork.
Yes.
Even if you are not the leader with the title, to still be part of the team.
Right. She was undoubtedly a charismatic leader and the go-to person for many people.
Yes, yes. And her daughter, Elizabeth, so not necessarily Elizabeth II Queen, because she was this other Queen Elizabeth, her mother, but her daughter Elizabeth, I'm sure, was grateful for the help. So, was quite young when she became the queen.
Yes.
I think that's a wonderful thing. As a leader, part of what I wanted to ask you about, and the reason I've come back for the fourth time to get this right, is because you have a wonderful system called La Dolce Vita, where it is a way of embracing the Italian lifestyle. As a leader, you don't have to be Italian to have a Dolce Vita. And I love that. So tell us a little bit about what this philosophy is.
Okay, so in order to do that, I would like to tell you what is La Dolce Vita and how it originated, which is very important. So La Dolce Vita is the sweet life, but the literary translation doesn't do justice to that concept, because this is not only the Italian's signature lifestyle, it's really a way of being and an overarching approach to all aspects of life, business included. So the expression La Dolce Vita originated in the 60s, in the late 50s, in the 60s, after the Second World War. So we know that the war destroyed Italy, and all Italians were working very, very hard in order to reconstruct a country, from zero. But at the same time, after so many years of darkness, of, sorrow and pain and, fear, they were also wanting to have fun. And during La Dolce Vita, since there were nothing, and it was very easy to create businesses, to create things, and, so on and so forth. So many people, started to have a car and a fridge and a TV, and they could go out for weekends with the family, which was very unusual for the Italians at that time. So the Dolce Vita was really enjoying life, but most of all was and is this committed and yet lighthearted approach to everything. Okay, so if we look back and back and back, way back, we can also say that La Dolce Vita rooted in our Latin, in our Roman Latin origins. So when the ancient Romans that we know conquered the world, and I think that the Roman Empire is still the biggest and the largest empire ever, was built.
Possibly not Western Empire.
Western.
I think we don't forget China.
But you know that as Italian, I'm so proud that.
Yes, right. Let's say the largest empire in the Western world. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I will say.
Because China was doing it long before the Romans did. So,
okay, yes. That's true. But they were not doing it the right way, I would say, because
they weren't doing it with the Dolce Vita. Okay.
No, the Romans were also having fun, meaning the Romans were in battle, they were fighting, but also they found the time to rest, and the time for resting and for enjoying going at the spa, discussing with philosophers, and doing all sorts of pleasant things were very important, and it was an integral part of their strategy. So there is this expression in Latin that is otium and negotium, and otium means inactivity, and I will also say idleness, which for the Italians doesn't have a negative meaning. Okay,
it's okay to be idle. Okay.
Negotium means nec prefix, not otium, without otium. So this was the activity. So it's interesting to notice that activity means lack of inactivity. So
yes, all right. So actually, our negotium, which is the English root negotiate, and the word for a shop in Italy is a negozio, right?
Right.
Also in Spanish, negocio.
Yes.
It is the opposite of time for yourself.
Right.
Yes. I love that. So it's actually it's a negative. It is an obvious opposite. Yes.
Yeah, it's a negative, and it's negotium is something that you do between two moments of otium. Otium before negotium, and then negotium, and then otium again.
I love that. So that's then the Dolce Vita incorporating rest, shall we say, and time for yourself and fulfilling things for yourself.
Yes. And the Dolce Vita means also being in the zone, doing things that you love. And we can extend it to business. So we can say, do something that you love. And also, if we think about it in a corporate, when you do that, when you put the right person in the right role, where that person can do their best because they are in their zone of genius. And the leader knows that and wants to empower people, to foster people do that.
This actually takes me, the question I had farther down on the list, but I'm going to go right to this. We've been through 2 years of a pandemic. The world has completely changed. Why has 2 years of isolation, and possibly more coming up, why has this created a need for Dolce Vita leaders?
So, first of all, because people that were forced to stay inside on a physical level were also forced to look inside themselves. And most probably many of them understood that before the lockdown and the pandemic, they didn't have a life. They were doing something that was too stressful. And I'm thinking about the Great Resignation or Great Reshuffle, however we want to call it.
The Great Awakening. I know people who talk about it as the Great Awakening, and I like that. I really like that. Yes.
Yes, I prefer this term and I will utilize it. Thank you very much for suggesting it to me. And if we think about it, people are quitting jobs or are quitting bosses. They are not empowering them. They are not understanding them. So in my idea, a boss or leader that embodies La Dolce Vita and incorporates La Dolce Vita in their leadership style and lifestyle, first of all, they understand this need for Dolce Vita, and they understand that La Dolce Vita is a means for being more productive, to be more focused, and a way for success. And it's not like taking time away from your business, etc., but it's an important component. So they can understand and they can relate with their people that want to have more Dolce Vita. So, and in my idea, these bosses, they can create a Dolce Vita empowerment and an environment that is an environment where organizational well-being is a priority, where values and culture are very important, and they try to get people that are already aligned to values. And this is also something that I say to somebody that is, going for an interview. So check out the values, because sooner or later, if you're not aligned with the company values, something will crash. And then, of course, part of this Dolce Vita is delegation, because through delegation, you empower
Delegation, yes.
Delegation, yes. Yes. Communication, also, and assets. So the Dolce Vita leaders understand that part of their assets are not only the product of the services, but the most important asset are your people and their skills. So you want to prioritize the investment in your people. This is why, to me, this is the time where really you should embrace La Dolce Vita as a lifestyle and as a leadership style.
And we are seeing this more and more, that the companies that are embracing this are succeeding, and people and are attracting good people. And the companies that are resisting it, not listening, are losing good people.
Yes.
And one of the things I heard recently, one of my colleagues, who is a South Asian woman, very dark-skinned, she is not going back to work because she's very short. And when she's on Zoom, she is the same size as everybody else, and they listen to her. And she's discovered that when she walks into the office and she's tiny next to the people who work for her, they don't listen to her. And so she said that I'm also bearing in mind my people. For me, it's easier not to go to the office, or maybe 1 or 2 days a week. It is easier for my employees who have children not to go into the office. The only ones who are really happy to go into the office are the straight white men who have wives at home who are taking care of everything else, who don't have to deal with the rest of life. And she said, I think I'm not going to accommodate them. I'm going to make something that works for everyone. And reminding the straight white men that they need to be the allies, the people around them. And that's why she's got the hybrid lifestyle in her company. And she's a CEO. So she speaks about this. Because I'm tall and I'm white, I know what it's like to be looked down on as a woman, not because I'm tiny. And that really was something that opened my eyes. And I'm now saying, okay, it makes sense. I get it. It's not just, if you're short, it's hard to have that authority.
Yeah, I think that, this time have really opened up new opportunities, of course, even new challenges, because you have to adjust your leadership style if you are managing remote teams. And I would also say that not all people and not all roles function well remotely. So Correct. You really want to do it like on a one-on-one, evaluate on a one-on-one basis. But the effort to accommodate people's needs and desire, I think that should be made. And of course, I think that the hybrid model is the best one, because of course you go physically into the office, and it's also important to have this
physical connection,
in-person feel and understand what's, around in the environment.
I really love this idea of making it work for everybody as a leader. Talk about, you have the Vita system, VITA. Tell us, give us some specifics, please.
Okay, so Vita, Dolce Vita means sweet life, and Vita is an acronym for vitality, illumination, techniques, and assets. And these are my 4 pillars. So in my idea, you have a destination to reach, be it your personal or professional destination, and you reach this destination on a car. I like to talk about cars because this is my background. I come from the automotive. And so you are you're hopefully driving the car and not in the trunk, or you're having somebody else. And this is a lot to do about leadership. But the car has these 4 wheels. Every wheel should be aligned and in balance to make the trip smooth. If the wheels are not in balance, or they are not inflated, or they are broken, probably you never get to your destination. And so what are these 4 pillars? So vitality is whatever you do to keep yourself energized and vital. So it's your habits, what you eat, how you exercise, your sleep, and all this kind of habits. Mm-hmm. Illumination is the spiritual part, is the mindset, is your approach, how you are taking things. Techniques is the hard part. So it's systems and strategies and habits that keep you very focused when it comes to be focused, and also set the boundaries when it comes to be in La Dolce Vita. Mm-hmm. And assets. So the assets are your beliefs, your skills, but the most important asset is yourself. So
and your people.
And your people. This is when you bring it to the company environment. We can talk about the 4 pillars in your life and in your company environment. And of course, yes, your people are your most important asset, because at the end of the day, it's the company know-how.
Yes, yes. Many, many years ago, a friend of mine who's an executive in a construction company who builds skyscrapers, he said, our buildings are only as good as our people. I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
And I, at first, I was very young, so I went, what is that? But the more I work and running a company myself, I realize, oh, it's the people. It's all about the people.
Yeah, exactly. People make the difference.
And what can we do moving forward? Where could somebody start? If you're thinking, I'm doing too much, I know I'm too stressed I'm too busy to take time for myself. Where can you start?
I start challenging you to take some time for yourself and to schedule it in your weekly, even if it's just 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. But before that, I would like you to clarify with yourself, what does La Dolce Vita mean for you? Because it can be a super luxury experience, or something as simple as having your cup of tea, or, taking a walk in the greens, whatever lights you up. And I really encourage you to think about what are the things that you loved doing years ago, that you're not doing anymore, and that you are missing. Mm-hmm. So make a list and start with one. And I am a big proponent of the baby steps, of the compound effect method, because we want to do things, that are not stressful, even when we are making, like this kind of nice things and transformation. So this is the first thing. And also knowing yourself. So knowing what you want, but also what you don't want, and what you don't want to tolerate anymore.
Sometimes it's easier to find out what you don't want. It's actually one of the ways that I have my clients figure out what their speeches are. What's your thought leadership is. Think about what it is that bothers you in your industry, and how could it be better, and then write a speech about it.
Yeah.
So let me ask 2 more questions. We mentioned mistakes. So this is the 4th time around. First 2 times were technical issues. We couldn't get the recording going. The 3rd time was I made a mistake and erased the recording. So as a leader, how can you move on after making a mistake?
Very interesting question, because as a leader, we should value our mistakes, and encourage our people to make mistakes. So the Dolce Vita way to make mistakes is to take it seriously, but in a light-hearted way, being gentle with yourself. A mistake is not the end of the world, hopefully. Well, some mistakes are, but the majority of mistakes aren't. So I just like to say, and I'm a high achiever, perfectionist, and all that. And, when I make a mistake, I'm just recognizing, I did all the best that I could. It didn't work out the way I wanted. Let's move on.
Yes. Often women have a hard time admitting to mistakes, because we have the feeling that we're supposed to be better, that any mistake a woman makes reflects on every other woman. which only comes if you're the only woman. So, get more women into your company. That will help. Also, as a perfectionist, and I don't like making mistakes, and it wasn't the end of the world. We get a chance to do this again. I don't like feeling stupid.
Yeah, to me it was fun, and I tell you, mistakes to me are a synonym of experience, because if you are willing to learn from your mistakes and understand what is the part of the process that didn't work, because there is always a part of the process that didn't work, if it depends on yourself. If it doesn't depend on yourself, there is nothing you can do about it. So why
yes
why getting mad?
Yes, apologize and move on. Apologize, make it better, and move on. Yes. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is quite often, I know you work with women, but you also work with men as well. And talk a little bit about, you're based in Italy, in the beautiful city of Bologna. Talk about what it is about the Italian culture that brings men to you.
This is a very interesting question. So I would like to say that men in general don't like what I do or what we do, because many of them know it all. I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. And these are the alpha men. So men that come to me are men that have a different energy, and I wouldn't say a more feminine energy, but they are taking their role in a less serious way, meaning they have this awakening and they don't care about society's expectations anymore, because I wouldn't want to be a man with all this burden of showing up, it's
not
tough.
So tough. Yes.
Yeah, all the time, because they know they have weaknesses, So those men that give themselves permission to make mistakes, to be weak, to not wanting to do what they want to do, and to live in a lighter way. So these are the men that I like to work with, and that they question, that they want to improve also their leadership style.
And you work with clients around the world, mostly in English, yes?
Yes.
But I mean, the Italians, I assume you speak Italian, but yes, but of course. But what is it that brings someone from another culture to you? I mean, I like the idea of the Dolce Vita.
I think that it is precisely the idea of La Dolce Vita, and of me embodying this Dolce Vita, and bringing a flair, a different, exotic taste in a way, or wanting to confront with a different culture, because this is a quicker way. And this is what I did for learning to be more focused on the business side. I found no Italian coaches and consultants as good as the Americans, because the Americans, they have this, I would say, inbuilt in their DNA. So I just went for Americans. So if you want to do business the Italian way and live more like Dolce Vita, and incorporate more a Dolce Vita, why not seeing an Italian?
I see. Yes. Well, and the American is very much business before life. So but perhaps this is something that we can learn. Angela, thank you so very much for doing this. It is truly a joy to know you and to work with you. You said, where should somebody start? If someone's listening to this and thinks, how do I want to learn La Dolce Vita, where could they start?
I would suggest to go to my website, that is www.angelasanti.it, like Italian. And there is a section where they can download a freebie that I've created, that is the Wheel of La Dolce Vita. It's similar to the Wheel of Life that most coaches utilize, but there you can check, in many different areas of your life and in the 4 dimensions of La Dolce Vita, how you are performing and how those areas are impacting into each other. So this is a very, very nice and quick reality check that you can make, and then you can go from there.
I've been through this wheel and learned some things about how much where I don't give myself time for myself. So I highly recommend it. We putting a link in the show notes. So Angela, thank you so very much for having been my guest. This has been Speakers Who Get Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman. And let me remind you, if you are curious about how your presentation skills are helping you or not, you can take our free assessment at Speak for Results Quiz. That's www.speakforresultsquiz.com. And then it takes about 4 minutes. You can see where your presentation skills are strong and where perhaps a little bit of support could get you the results you need and the recognition you deserve. Angela, thank you so very much for having been my guest. This is Elizabeth Bachman. I'll see you on the next one.
We have just concluded another great episode of Speakers Who Get Results with your host, Elizabeth Bachman. If you got value from today's episode, please feel free to share us with your friends and colleagues. You may also visit elizabethbachman.com for additional resources. Be sure to tune in every week for new episodes, and thanks for tuning in.